live. I ain't seeing myself. There we go. I ain't seeing myself. Yeah. It survives. It survives. Big. Selah Shalom in the building. We inside, we outside. You know how we do. It survives. Yes, sir. It survives. What it do, family? Yeah. Your boy Selah Shalom chiming in, you know what I mean? It survives. What's good, family? You know what I mean? Long day, decided to hop online for a quick second. Nothing major. You know what I mean? See what's up with the family, check the vibes, you dig? It was crazy, I was on Facebook, and I left a post. I forgot what the post was exactly about, but an Israelite elder commented on the post, and he was like, you going to hell, the lake of fire is waiting for you, and all this nonsense about, you know what I mean, judgment and all this. So it's interesting how his behavior is dictated based off his God. This is why I always say we got to address the God first before we could address anything else. Because it's your God that got you acting and believing the way you do. So if your God is angry and jealous, so will you. If your God is peaceful and righteous, you should practice what your God preached. But if your God is preaching hate, if your God is preaching anger, jealousy, destruction, and warfare, guess what seed that is going to produce? Exactly that. Destruction, warfare. And that's exactly what we got going on, based off these gods, man. Another sister hit me up from the chat. She was telling me, like, what's the name of that Israelite group? Watchmen of Israel. She told me that they told her she was gonna burn in hell, or she's going to hell, or something like that. She said she cursed them out or whatever. So again, these Israelites are breeding the behavior of their God. If their God is angry and jealous, if their God is warlike, they're going to carry those same characteristics and likeness of their God. This is why it's important to address the God. Because if you address the God, you change the God, you bust down the God body, the body going to fall. So a lot of these Israelites, under the influence of the angry and jealous God, thinking it's the creator, not knowing it's a deity. It's a deity that they under the influence of. And they drunken. They drunk with the faith of the influence of these deities. That's the crazy part. Another thing, I'm trying this new live stream we got going on here. You know what I mean? I downloaded this Streamlabs, so I'm streaming from there. So this is kind of new right here. So as I roll my spliff, you know how it is, because it's a vibe. You know what I mean? It's a vibe out here. What you smoking on? Smoking on some Zaza, beloved. You know what I mean? Some of that good. It's crazy because the stream got a delay, so it's like looking at me backwards time, and that shit is crazy. But yeah. But now though, realistically, you know what I mean? That's how dangerous it is when you don't understand what you're following. Because a lot of these Israelites, they just pick up the Bible. First, most of them were Christians, first of all. So, being Christians, a lot of them was familiar with the Bible, but they may not have been familiar with the whole Hebrew Israelite doctrine. So, they get into the Bible, they start reading about this God, but they just start believing in the God. They don't question the God. They just believe in the God. And that's the dangerous part, because you're not questioning what you believe in, you just believe in it. So like I said with 1 Samuel 15:3, where God commands the killing of infants, if you okay that just shows you how drunken of the faith of your God you are with. You know what I mean? That don't make no sense for you to believe in a God that allows the killing of infants. You wouldn't question that and second guess that. You'll just believe it, hook, line, and sinker, because God said it. And that's the greatest deception. That's what Satan got y'all hoodwinked. Satan got y'all hoodwinked because he's playing the role of God in your Bible. But you don't know it because you're not testing the spirit. Your Bible say test the spirit to see if it's of God. If your Bible is contradicting its actions, you got to question that God. If God is telling his people, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kill, but then in another breath he's sending the Israelites to go kill, you got to question that God. And you're not testing the spirit if you're not questioning that God. If you just believe in what the God say, although his words are contradicting one another, you're not being genuine and honest and truthful to yourself, and you ain't being genuine and honest and truthful to the doctrine. You know what I mean? And people who are truthful are going to see through the bullshit. They're going to see through the lie. They're going to see like, all right, he ain't right and exact because he believe and go with the whole idea that it's okay to kill off infants. If you seen a man kill off an infant today, you ain't going to stand for that. If a man killed the infant right now, breaking news, CNN, headline news, man kills infant because he said he was inspired by God. How many of y'all going to fall for that? Huh? How many Israelites is going to say, you know, hey man, you know, it says it in the Bible that God kills infants. Y'all going to go with that? Or y'all going to say this man is a sick man for killing infants? Which one y'all going to go with? You can't have it both ways. It's either you stand for your God killing infants, because that's what you got to roll with. If a man kills infants and says, my God inspired it, you got to roll with that, because your Bible justifies killing infants. But if you disagree with that, then you got to question your text. You got to question your Bible, because if you say if a man kills an infant and you call that man sick and he said he was inspired by God to do it, that means your God is sick, because that same God is telling you to kill infants in the Bible. See that? And that's just one instance out of many where God is being satanic in his characteristics. What I broke down on the last verse, the characteristics of God. Telling you and showing you the characteristics of God is more evil and satanic than righteous. I was reading verse after verse after verse showing you how God in your Bible is more evil than righteous. If you was to weigh the two, weigh how much righteousness is in the book and weigh how much unrighteousness is in the Bible, the unrighteousness is going to outweigh the righteousness. Shalom. JK, I see you. Word up. So that's why I like my spliff, enjoy my weed, because y'all following a God that's going to condemn you after you die. Throw you in a lake of fire. How long are you going to burn in this lake of fire? I thought when Daniel was cast into the furnace and the angel was in the furnace with them and the king turned up the furnace to burn him even more and the fire didn't touch him. How you going to burn in hell if you protected by the fire through the angel? Angels don't burn in fire. The angel was walking through the fire. It was the angel's presence that allowed Daniel and them not to get burnt. But the angel was walking through the fire like it was nothing. So how you going to burn in hell after death if angels or fire don't affect spirit? See that? The angel and Daniel was walking in the furnace. The nigga turned up the furnace fire. He said, yo, turn it up some more. Let's burn and roast these cats. Rotisserie chicken these niggas. And what happened? Nothing. So how you going to burn in eternity in the lake of fire when spirits when angels are not affected by the fire? And fire is a corporeal thing. It's physical. Yo, me's a Dutch master man, you know. I use my Dutchies, you know. Dutch master, I used to use frontal with them things there, but frontal are too harsh upon the throat, you know. I'm not big on the frontal them, but my Dutch master man, you know. But yeah, though. So these Israelites, their contention, their hate, and their anger is going to build up more. It's going to get to a point where they're going to want to physically start to do something. Because that's where anger leads you. How long before you get angry before you actually act out on that anger? How long are you going to be jealous before you act out on that jealousy and reveal your jealousy towards that person? How long are you going to practice warfare and drills and training and don't put it to practice? See, everything y'all stand for right now is falls under destruction. 2/3 of the planet is going to be destroyed. Like y'all going to escape unscathed. If 144,000 is supposed to be saved, how you think you're going to escape unscathed? Some of the greatest prophets in the past may not even make it in the book of life. According to your doctrine, this ain't my belief. This is what y'all believe. Those who study the Bible and believe the God of the Bible. Those who study Oahspe, we don't accept that. We accept the Oahspe turns you back to the Creator. You don't have to hold the book forever and eternity with the Oahspe. Once you understand how the Creator operates through system and order, cycles and seasons, and then you'll understand the title and ranks of angels, whether they be Etherian angel or atmospherian angels. And when you understand how angels become false and stray away and make themselves gods, assuming to be the Creator, once you understand all that, you're not going to be deceived by no biblical God. You're going to be able to point out the biblical God from the Oahspe and show like, yo, that God is false. That goes against law, statutes, and commandments of his own. How can Moses be a murderer and bring a law, thou shalt not murder? It's contradicting. So the Bible has steady contradicting actions in it, while in the Oahspe it states that Moses never killed the man. So by Moses coming with the law, thou shalt not kill from the Oahspe, it stands true because you can't be a hypocrite when you're dealing with truth. You got to keep it 100. Australia love, peace. I see you. Australia in the building. You know what I mean? Continent of Pan Pete. Continent of Pan people. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to always like start questioning these cats. Just don't sit there and let somebody tell you about a God and have you believe in a God, and you don't question it. You question everything. That's why the Oahspe show sharp, because it allows you to question God. It allows you to question the Creator. It even allows you to question the false gods. And that's how you find out they're false. Through the dialogue. There are many false gods Oahspe shows throughout the book, and many different reasons why these false gods became false gods or whatever agenda that they decided to do. But the cycle is still the same. They break away from the heavenly kingdom, they establish themselves, they prosper, they gain followers, then their kingdom begins to start to decline. Because it's like school, you can't stay in one grade forever. You can't continue to learn the same thing forever. Just imagine you still studying 7th grade knowledge and you was a 7th grader 20 years ago. It don't make no sense. You're going to be stagnating while you see the world around you progress. Just imagine you still operating on a beeper and we in the Android and iPhones and you still walking with a beeper trying to find a payphone. You left behind. That's how the false gods end up. Their followers start to realize that things are progressing around them and they're not progressing nowhere in their kingdom, and they start questioning that God like, damn, it's been 2,000 years, a whole 2,000 years, and we ain't really accomplished nothing. I'm still living in my old hut. You stood over there in your hut. He said when we do 400 years, he was going to promise us a mansion in the kingdom, and he ain't gave us none of that. That's what's going to happen with your false gods. If you're a Muslim, them 70 virgins you was promised, you're going to go up there and wear my 70 virgins. When you realize ain't no 70 virgins up there, you're going to turn on your God. For Christians, when you go up there looking for Jesus and you realize ain't no Jesus up there, you're going to turn on your God. For you Hebrew Israelites, when you think Yahshua coming back to save you or coming back to do battles with the nations and he don't come, you're going to cuss your God. All reason is because you believed in this God. You didn't take the time out to question the God or rationalize within yourself. The Creator gave you consciousness, discernment. That's the gifts he gave you from Creator, from your birth. But you'd rather put that aside and believe a book that has false doctrine in it and don't question the book but believe it, not using your spiritual discernment the Creator gave you to discern the book. Because if you use your spiritual discernment to discern the book, he's going to guide you on what is true and what is fable on the overall subject. Because you can have truth and lies in any book, but what is the overall objective? It's the overall objective that's of most important. So if the overall objective is Jerusalem is coming down from heaven to earth, that's the objective. That's the destiny. So when we die, we're going to be waiting around until the new Jerusalem come down. How long that's going to be? Give me a time frame when this new Jerusalem going to come. Oh, nobody knows. The Son don't know. Nobody knows but the Father, nor the angels. We don't move like that over here. Jehovah give us a time period. Time chart, just like school. All right, you're going to be a year in 6th grade, you're going to be a year in 7th grade. It's going to take you 12 years before you graduate and go to the colleges and universities. So with that, we got times and dates set. So we can set our goals and we know at a time frame how we need to move. See, the Oahspe gives you those time frames and those dates through the timetables of prophecy and let you know what you got to do while you're alive on earth, your purpose and your destiny, and how to progress. The Bible don't tell you that. The Bible just got you believing you're going to die or wait in the grave for Gabriel to blow the trumpet. Then you're going to resurrect, get judged. If your name ain't in the book of fire, in the book of life, you're going to be thrown into the lake of fire. And if you're saved, you're going to be in the book of life or in the New Jerusalem. Now, the New Jerusalem is supposed to be 144,000 Israelites, and they're supposed to be ruling the nations. So basically, it's supposed to be like the reverse of slavery. So slave master going to be the Israelites, and the slaves is going to be the other nations. This is the mind frame that these Israelites have. That's how the kingdom is going to be ran. We teach the kingdoms is in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd atmosphere. And that these kingdoms are schools for learning. And you're graded. And once your grade is sufficiently risen enough, you could pass on to the next grade. And then you graduate at the harvest time. We getting off the planet while y'all remaining on the planet. That's so to put that in perspective, we go into college while y'all remain in the high school. Your false gods got you remaining in the high school because the kingdom, the Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem is coming down from heaven to earth. Instead of you going from earth to heaven. Got you backwards. The false gods got your spiritual belief system backwards. You going backwards instead of forward. So instead of graduating, you staying in the grades. So instead of going to the 12th grade, you gonna get left back in the 11th grade. And then you're not descending, so you're just gonna keep descending back in the grades. How can one better themselves from teaching from the Oahspe? Well, one thing the Oahspe teaches you is that, first it teaches you the purpose of life. What's the purpose of life? I read it, Book of Jehovah, chapter 2, verse 2. I created man, gave him a corporeal body to learn corporeal things, meaning learning all things on earth, on an earthly level. And then death I made that his spirit may inhabit the Etherian kingdoms. So that's our purpose, to inherit the Etherian kingdoms. Now, how do we inherit the Etherian kingdom? That's where the schooling system, that's where the kingdoms are set up for. The heavenly kingdoms are like schools. You're there to be educated. And the way you're educated is by actually learning, like the science education, rudimentary education, just like school. But the greatest service is the service done unto others. What you do for others is how you grade it. So the higher your grade is, the higher your ascension is. The lower your grade is, the lower you will remain. And your graded is how you do service done unto others. So it's a percent range. So if you do things 50% for others, 50% for yourself, you're grade 50. And that's how it's negotiated with your spiritual birth in the atmosphere once you die, based off of your works. So with that, we have work to do. We ain't sitting around thinking about what we got to do. The service done unto others is the foundation. So every day you wake up, hit the streets, do good works unto others. That's how you get your spiritual grade up. That don't require no money. That don't require no vehicle. That don't require nothing but your spirit doing good unto others. Because when you die, money is going to still be here. Your cars, your house, everything is going to still be here. Even your flesh is still going to be here. But your spiritual act, which is the service done unto others, because your spirit is just a vehicle for this body. So you're using this body to do good works, but when this body dies, your spirit is birthed into the atmosphere, and based off what you've done unto others, will depend your ascension or descension, will determine your ascension or descension. Oneness was good, I see you. Yeah, some of them won't be in the next heaven with us, but it's just like school. They're just so it's like if we cross over and we make it to the second resurrection, but our relatives is lingering in the first resurrection, there's a point in time when you can visit them in the first heaven. They see you, you see them, y'all discern, have conversation, and hopefully your words will encourage them to inspire to rise upward and be one with them, or they be one with you, moving upward. Do I have a PayPal? Yeah, you can check the link in the description. You know what I mean? I got a little donation feed there. If you want to donate, it's all good. But yeah, this knowledge is important though. You know what I mean? This is about your spiritual grade. Your here on earth, your existing on earth is based off your spiritual grade, nothing else. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how many times you practice the Passover. You can practice the Passover every year to the T, and your spiritual grade be low. See that? You could pray to Yahweh every day, like the Muslims, 5 times a day, and your spiritual grade be low. Why? If you're not helping others, you're not raising your grade. So if you every day you wake up and you go outside, if you ain't do nothing to help somebody, just know that your grade is still there. It ain't go nowhere. That's where the rates. See, you have the grades, and you have the rates. The grades is 50. Say it's 50 is your grade. The rates is how long you keep that. So if you go out there for a week and do nothing for nobody, your rate is a week of grade 50. Using that as an example of the grades and rates. So Oahspe lays this thing out to where you're totally responsible of your being. There is no Jesus coming to save you. You're not waiting on Jesus. Even Jesus, or Yeshua ben Yusuf, showed the example of service done unto others in his day. He showed the example of service done unto others. When the chick, what was the chick? She took her head and started oiling his feet, and the disciples were like, nah, fall back. And he was like, nah, she's doing one of the greatest things or whatever. You know what I mean? The service done unto others, yo. That's your greatest reward you could get. No doubt, yo. No doubt. The spirit of the Creator is deeply rooted in you. I feel you on that. You know what I mean? I feel the same way. Acquired knowledge is important. The more knowledge you got, the better off you are. When you get a knowledge like something like the Oahspe, like this, once you come back and read, come back and holler at me when you read this whole thing. This ain't no overnight read. I don't care who you are, Hebrew Israelite, Rabbi, Imam, you ain't gonna read this overnight and think you got it. That book gonna take all your time to understand what's going on in that book. And I done read the whole book several times and know it too. Know it in the sense of the scenarios of what's going on in the book. Like Osiris came to teach man natural philosophy and science. Apollo came to help beautify the shape, the figure of human beings. Thor came to teach man to how to carve and make images. But these were lessons taught for man at specific times in arc cycles for man's progression. So when I say thought, Osiris, Apollo, these ain't the Greek and Egyptian motherfuckers from 6,000, 3,000, 400 BC. Not that Apollo. This is the Etherian angel that they're talking about. Apollo, the Etherian god. Thor, we're not talking about the hammer Thor that we're familiar with in Greek culture. No, they talking about the Etherian angel. And the time period that these deities came was thousands, tens of thousands of years before the Thors and the Apollos that we accustomed. And then Osiris, we know Osiris from Egypt. But there's an Etherian angel named Osiris. And he's the one who brought natural philosophy and science and taught man astrology and the zodiac. Osiris gave us that. And then from there, we had 3,000 years to perfect that science, which we did. And at the ending of that 3,000 years, the science was so perfected that they stopped believing in life after death. They stopped believing in spirituality. They believed that everything was, all the truth was found in corpor, in physicality. And at the end of that cycle, man was so brainwashed that he didn't believe in life after death no more. He only believed in what he could see. That's what the Osirian cycle taught. It taught natural philosophy. It gave man the knowledge of the earth, the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom. That's when man became knowledgeable in fullness in that department, post-flood. And then man got so engrossed in the Osirian cycle that he stopped believing in the spiritual. He stopped believing that there's life after death, that when you die, that's it. And when that cycle, the Osirian cycle ended, and it was time for make mortals believe in spirituality again, he sent Zarathustra. And it was Zarathustra who came to prove the life after death. The spirituality that the spirits of the dead do live. He came to prove that. And when you read the story of Zarathustra, it's interesting because it's like you're reading the story of the New Testament of Jesus Christ. So with that, when I read that in the Oahspe, how it parallels the story of Jesus Christ, I said, wow. When they compiled the New Testament and amalgamated the story of Jesus, a lot of this came from the story of Zarathustra. But Oahspe shows you the cycles that man goes through from believing too much, being unbelieving, and how the cycles help man develop his consciousness. Wilson, I see you. Yeah, the Creator's ever present. The Creator ain't going nowhere. Give me 1 second. The Creator ain't going nowhere. Ever present. Ever present. One second. It's the vibes. So yeah though. You know what I mean? So the Oahspe is real systematic the way it's drawn out. It's just not scat about information. It has a timetables of prophecy. That's why we call it timetables of prophecy. Because it gives you a time period of history. So ain't nothing missing. Ain't no gaps nowhere when you read. Like if you look at the 23rd and the 24th arc cycle, if I roll them charts out, if you go back and look at the timetables of prophecy video, and I roll out them 23rd and 24th arc cycle from 4th millennium BC all the way to actually 1848 present time. So from 4th millennium BC to where we at today, I had that whole history charted out. Nothing, no gaps. You know what I mean? So if you want to talk about the Israelites, we right here with it. You want to talk about the Byzantine Empire, we right here with it. You want to talk about the rise of the Ptolemies, we right here. Everything is on the chart. And then above, we got the gods reigning at the time. So not only you getting the history of the earth, you getting the history of the heavens and the gods reigning at that time. So you can see the influential gods that had influence over the Israelites from 400 years, from this time to this time. And then that God got cast in hell, and another God gained influence over the Israelites. That's why I said these gods use us like pawns. They use us like pawns on the chessboard. So the gods could be battling over you, and one God could have possession over the nation, but then this God defeats that God and takes possession over the nation. But Israel don't know that there was a battle in heaven and that God just lost the crown. All they know is that they just hearing a voice and they just pursuing as they do, going as normal. You know what I mean? The priest, the prophet, they hear the voice and they just going as normal. Because false gods could raise up false prophets. You got false prophets who could be out here talking about they hear the voice. And they could be telling you the truth, but it's not the voice of a true prophet. It's a voice of a false prophet with their own agenda. So this is how deep the rabbit hole goes. That's why you just can't believe shit. You got to question it. And it's sad that a grown-ass man on my Facebook is talking about you're going to go to the lake of fire, cast in hell. And the verse I posted ain't had nothing to do with no lake of fire. It was talking about, you know what I mean? I'm always exposing the false gods, so it may have been a verse talking about how the Israelites ain't worship the God but the Creator. So I'm like, nigga, that's showing you reverence to the Creator. It's showing you I'm bringing you back to the Creator and to avoid these false gods. But you come with a statement like that, so it shows the ignorance of these Israelites and some of these people who believe the inspiration, who have inspiration for these false gods. Your God is angry and jealous. Come on, yo. Now, one verse from the Oahspe with true God, rightful ruler, gets angry or jealous. Test everything. That's right. You got to test everything. Even in their Bible, they say test the spirit, but then they get scared to test the spirit. Or when somebody do test the spirit and question them and shake them up a little bit, you get called all sorts of names now. You this, you that, and the third. Like, really? Where that coming at? Shalom, Bob. I see you. Yeah, it's real out here. Question the God you follow, yo. And the only way you can question the God you follow is through your Bible. Because God ain't coming down to talk to you. So how you going to question God? Based off the words in your Bible. Based off the words in your Quran. See, the Muslims, they may be one up from the Christians, but they still fall under the same category too. What the Muslims did was like, all right, there's only one God. And Muhammad is his prophet. Simple message. One God, Muhammad is his prophet. So now, the Christians profess a Trinity. The Muslims like, nah, yo, we ain't one God. Y'all talking about Father, Son, Holy Ghost. See, the Christians try to get technical, analytical, and spiritual with that concept. But the Muslims, keeping it simple, no, one God. But now, see, the Trinity is one. It's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's the one. The Muslims, no, one God. See, they keeping it simple. They ain't playing that game with you. So they got one up because they keeping it singular. They keeping it one God, the God, Allah. That's it. No added attachments or nothing that, right? But with the Christians, you got the Father, you got God, you got a one breath Jehovah, you got another breath Yahweh, you got the Israelites saying Yahweh, and then you got people calling Jesus God. You see that, all those names and confusions under the Christian and the Hebrew, the Judaic world? But the Muslims, no, one God, Allah, one. No confusion. That's how they got one up on you. That's how Gabriel got one up on Luam. That's why Gabriel said, oh yeah, I'm going to expose your ass. And that's exactly what he did. Because you remember, Gabriel established Christianity for Luam. Them wars that Constantine was having with Maximus and Malivian Bridge, 323 AD, that was Gabriel behind that influence. With his warrior angel influence, Constantine's angels. That was Gabriel doing that. The same dude who established Islam, the same angel who came to Muhammad in the cave, that same angel established Christianity. He's in your Bible. Gabriel came to Joseph and told him to flee to Egypt. And then Gabriel came to Muhammad. That's the same nigga. He's written in the book. And he's written in Islam. And now he's beefing with Luam, the one who established, the one who was the face of Christianity. Luam is the face of Christianity, while Gabriel did the work to establish Christianity. So it's like Luam is getting the credit for Jabril's work. And once Gabriel found out that he's getting the credit, not only is he getting the credit, he ain't giving me what he was promised. I'm going to expose this fraud as a false Christ. And that's exactly what happened. And since Muhammad came on the scene, 5th, 6th century AD, and when he drew the sword for Muhammad, when he drew the sword for Allah, and them niggas started going to battle, and they was victorious in battle, and they was running around screaming, Allah is one, Muhammad is his prophet. That's how they was going to battle. Allah is one, Muhammad is a prophet, God is one, Muhammad is a prophet, God is one. They in battle saying that shit and winning. Because Gabriel and his warrior angels had great inspiration on Muhammad and his followers. See that? That's how great wars are won, through angelic inspiration, unseen to mortals. That's why niggas don't believe this shit, because it's unseen, it's out of their senses. So they can't detect it, they don't believe it. But that don't mean this shit ain't going on. That's just your lack of understanding. You've been on the planet not even 100 years, but you know everything? Nah, you don't know a slight thing what's going on. Oahspe trying to give you a glimpse of what goes on outside of the physical side. So, we good over here. We know what's going on. Ain't no curiosity over here. Ain't no, I don't know what happens when we die over here. Ain't none of that over here. But you'll find that in your commanded community. They don't know what the fuck going on when they die. They'll tell you with a heartbeat. I don't know what happened when I die. Well, nigga, you gonna be a lost motherfucker. Because you on earth to get guidance on preparation for when you cross over. So if you don't know what the fuck you're living for, nigga, you're gonna be just as lost on earth in spirit. That's what you call wandering spirits. Wandering spirits are wandering people. People who don't know what the fuck they're here for. We know what we're here for. We're here for a purpose. What's that purpose? To inherit the Etherian kingdoms. How do we inherit the Etherian kingdoms? By service done unto others. Through the first, second, and third resurrection, graduation, bitch, we out of here. We out of here. While you still in the goddamn 12th grade, stuck in high school. And we trying to get you to follow up to the colleges and universities outside of your high school. That's how we moving. That's how we moving. You ain't gonna get this truth nowhere else, man. Y'all can sit up there trying to study Hebrew and all that. That's relevant. That's like PE in school. That ain't got too much to do with your grade. That's just recreational activities. You can learn all the Hebrew you want and have a low spiritual grade. You can learn all the Arabic, you can learn all the Medu Neter you want and have a low spiritual grade. Your spiritual grade determines your existence. It determines everything. As soon as I walk out the crib, my service done unto others is in full effect. And it could be from the smallest minute things to the biggest things. It could be opening up a door for a motherfucker saying, hello, how you doing? Common courtesy is service done unto others. You open up a door for an old lady or anybody, your brother, young man, old man. All that counts. That's common courtesy. Common courtesy is service done unto others. You may be at the gas pump. Nigga may walk up to you, old man, he looking for some change. You got some spare change? You break him off that spare change, boom. He may ask for some bread. You got some fruit, some bread, I'm hungry. You got some fruit, you feed him. All that counts. From the day you born to the day you die, that's how you're gonna, that's where they're gonna determine your spirit after death, based off the service done unto others. So if you was one of them cats, when somebody asks you for something and you always saying no, or you always got an excuse why not to give, beware. Beware. But if you a person who, if somebody give, you damn know, somebody asks, and you give, you got some people that if you ask them, they always give. They don't really say no. You got people like that. Those are the examples for those who's going to be stingy. You remember when you were young and you had friends, y'all was clicked up, right? You remember you about 10, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, around them ages, right? Y'all out playing or whatever. Y'all finished playing, your man, y'all clicked up, going to the crib. You go to your man go to his crib. Y'all all there. He go in the house. You know, y'all waiting outside for him to come back out. Nigga may come back out with a sandwich or some chips. And you like, y'all like, oh, let me get some. And the nigga may be like, oh, nah, this mine. Y'all ain't getting nothing. You know? I know you had a friend like that. But then on the flip note, same situation. When you come out the house with your food, let me get some. And he breaking bread with his friend. He's breaking bread with the friends. Everybody eating, everybody happy, everybody jolly. See how that works? But the stingy cat, when he start doing that, the friends start looking at him sideways. I remember like 8, 9 years old, we already looking at friends on the side like, oh, this nigga selfish. You stingy. That was what it was. He's stingy. This nigga don't like to share. At that young of an age, we recognizing what it is to be stingy and what it is to share. And that's the fundamental principles of your spiritual existence. That principle right there. If you the cat that's stingy, you're gonna grow and muster that seed of being stingy into a fucking tree. That seed is gonna be planted into a tree. So when you become an adult, you're gonna be a very stingy person. That's how a lot of wealthy people get wealthy, because they stingy. They don't share nothing. They keep it to they hoard everything. But then you got the cat who learned to break bread when he was younger. So when he get older, he break bread. And as he break bread, more things, more blessings become to him. Years are added upon his life, whatever the case may be. And those are the two seeds. The one constantly giving and the one constantly hoarding up. Those are the grades. And in between is the variables. Angelica, I see you. Guy, my guy. Cheers. What's good? I see you. Yeah, just talking about the service done unto others and how important it is to do righteous works. Nobody perfect. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna go out there and just be a saint doing the service done unto others. It's gonna be days where you gonna be like, nah, nigga, I ain't got no change, and you may have to change. You know what I mean? But then that doesn't determine or dictate your whole overall grade. You know what I mean? That just may have been a bad day for you. You may come back 2 days later killing it. Then raised your grade up. You know what I mean? So it's a constant flow. It's a constant up and down. But you want to keep that flow more on an incline than a decline. If you notice, anytime you do something good for people constantly, or if you do something good for people, the reward will come back to you. You just got to pay attention when that reward come back. You may not know that that reward came back from something you did for somebody else, but you wasn't paying attention to that deed of service that are the others because you're unaware of it. Exactly, we all humans. And what about those Christians that say Jehovah is Jesus? Yes, it's confusion. It's confusion. Because they'll say that Jesus is Jehovah incarnated. That's what they'll say. The Almighty Creator comprised himself into a human being to suffer, to see what it feels like to be a human being. That don't even make no sense. How you gonna be the Almighty Creator, created everything, but then suffer in a human body to experience what it is? But if you created everything, that means you created the human. The experiences through the breath of life. What the Creator gave us. So he's experiencing life every day through humans. He's experiencing what we're experiencing because he created us. We're miniature offshoots of an ideal of the Creator. We're not in the image of the Creator. We're a product of the Creator. Just like a bear is not in the image of the Creator. If we say we are in the image of the Creator, we might as well say the bear is in the image of the Creator. The Creator ain't walking around here a bear. No. A bear, a human, an alligator, a lizard, a bird are all products of creation. The product of creation doesn't dictate the image of the Creator. The Creator is incomprehensible. You can't put an image on a Creator. But you're quick to put an image on your God in the Bible, though. Y'all will say that he's a man of war. So by saying that, y'all took the Almighty Creator and compressed him into a man. You made him into an idol. Thou shalt not have no idols. So how are you going to say thou shalt not have no idols in one breath, but then in another breath, you're worshiping an idol? Your God is in the image of a man. So if your God was to come right now and he say, worship me, you got to bow down your face at his feet, at this man who said he is God. You didn't question, you just believed it. So that's how deep the rabbit hole goes with these gods. And G of peace, wisdom, power, love, I see you. Yeah, tell him, King. Tell him to get the book of Oahspe. It's an eye opener. You know what I mean? It's an eye opener. It's more for spiritual people. The Oahspe is more for spiritual minded people. It's more for people who are more skeptic, who are more curious and thinking, who just don't believe anything, and who are more seekers of deeper things. Because most, like if you study the ancient Cometians, or the ancient Egyptians, the Kemites, or the Kemetic community, they deal with more physical research. They don't really deal with spirituality. A lot of them don't believe in spirituality. Like if you look at the side of the TV, and a lot of them Kemetic scholars on there, they don't deal with spirituality. They deal with more. The only one who say and claim they deal with spirituality is Jabari. He's the only one who probably says he deal with spirit. You see what I'm saying? But the other cats, they don't deal with spirituality. They just deal with the corporeal, the physical, the tangible, that which you could touch and see and measure. That's all they know. And ain't nothing wrong with that, because that's part of learning corporeal knowledge. But what they lack is the spiritual side. They don't believe that there's life after death. They think when you die, that's it. Some of them, not all of them. I just, from the years I've been listening, I've been hearing how they view their spirituality. They don't believe in it. So a lot of them is going to have a hard time crossing over, because they're going to be in denial of a lot of things, because they don't have no knowledge of spirituality. Some of them believe that their ancestors is their God, their parents. So their parents is still physical beings. So it's like they don't really understand the spirituality, the atmospheric progression, how that when we cross over, our spirit is going to be ingrided in the atmospheric plateaus that's been already put there, planted for eons. The systems, the heavenly systems, been set up. We're going to be entering heavenly kingdoms that been thriving for thousands of years. You dig? Just like when you go to high school, that high school been there. Been there before you were born, that high school been there. You know what I mean? So the heavenly kingdoms is already arranged. Your death is already destined. It's already planned out how they going to have you set up. You know what I mean? Well, not fully, because you're still living out your life. So everything is not determined yet. But at the moment of death, it'll be determined. Because, see, the angels, they're moving at a faster vibrational frequency. So things is moving quick with them. It ain't like us where we got this corporeal body and we dragging. They moving like pop, pop, pop. They moving quick, speed of light type shit. So when we cross over and enter that realm, things is going to be moving so fast, but we're not going to know that it's moving that fast because we in the realm now. So that's going to seem normal in that pace. But if you was to be in the realm, become conscious, start looking around and getting an idea, walking around, and then we reflect back to our peers on earth, like, oh shit, what of them? I've been caught up in the facade of the heavenly kingdom, not knowing that this shit was real. Now I took the time out to think about my loved ones on earth. And then when you may look back and reflect back, 3 years done went by. But it just felt like you just got here and you walking around, and 3 years on the earth plane, on the physical plane, that went by. But it felt like a week to you because the vibrational frequency and spirit is moving faster. It's deep like that, Joe. Yeah, the Oahspe say there's two types of people. The worldly people, you know what I mean, who deal with earthly affairs, and the spiritual people who deal with more spiritual affairs. There are going to be slaves even in the afterlife. Yeah. There's plenty of slaves in the afterlife. Yeah. And slave is servitude. So when you enter these heavenly kingdoms, all these Christians, when they cross over and enter these heavenly kingdoms, they're going to be doing servitude to that God in that kingdom. You just ain't walking in the heavenly kingdom and you just gonna be running things or go see God whenever you want. Nah. You're gonna have to be doing some things up in there. They're gonna have you up in there wilding. Alright, I'm gonna need you to crawl on your belly for 10 paces. They're gonna be playing with you like, you know what I mean? You don't want that, do you? That's why we gotta question these gods, yo. Cause like I said, if your God is angry and jealous, you're gonna carry out those same characteristics of being angry and jealous. How do you read and translate from the Oahspe? Well, I'm not sure on how you phrasing that, but well shit, it's in English. Ain't nothing really to translate. You know what I mean? It ain't like it's a language that was written in Greek or Hebrew or Latin, and you know what I mean? It's in English, and we can translate it back and it means something different in the various language. The beauty about the Oahspe that it's written in English, so it's comprehensive. It ain't nothing you got to translate. Everything is comprehensive for our understanding in this day and age. It ain't trying to translate back to Hebrew and trying to, you know, the word for this mean that, and you know what I mean? Oahspe keeps it simple and plain for you to easily digest. Is Yahshua a place, a time, or a people? Well, it depends. If you coming from the Oahspe, then you know that the book of Ashang, son of Jehovah, Yahshua was the name of a heavenly place of salvation. It was a rest for the gods at that time, dealing with them damn drudges. Like, I need some rest, so they created a heavenly plateau called Yeshua. And then you got the Yeshua ben Yusuf later on in the New Testament. I mean, in the first century Yeshua that we know about. So Oahspe talks about the heavenly place called Yeshua. It talks about Yeshua ben Yusuf. Then it talks about Aisu, the fake Jesus that Constantine created. So you got all that going on in your Oahspe, showing you these perspectives and showing you coming down from the time of history how these things play out. That's the beauty about the Oahspe. I'm going to put up that timetable prophecy chart again, because once that chart is set up, a baby could understand that. Once you see them arc cycles laid out and them histories laid out, ain't no more hide and seek no more. See, a lot of time when Israelites read the Bible, they don't have a time period. They just read it and they just God this, God that, but there's no synchronization of time too much. Can't put a time period on nothing. That's what the Kemetic community always pressure Israel with history and time periods, because they just vaguely speak, not putting things in their prospective times. So if God is angry and jealous, well, what time was God angry and jealous with Israel? What time was God merciful and peaceful with Israel? You got to put these things in perspective. From the looks of it, it looked like they never was. Because from so we dealing with a nation. When they left Egypt, let's start from there, because that's where it really started, when they left Egypt. They left Egypt, was in the wilderness, they fucked up in the wilderness, went to the land of Canaan. They started killing Canaanites, destruction, death, not no peaceful shit. So they didn't kill off the Canaanites, living among the Canaanites, interbred with the Canaanites, then set up tribal states, you know what I mean, districts, the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, the tribe, the 12 states. Then they started beefing. They broke the laws of God. So being that they broke the laws of God, according to the Bible, being that they broke the laws of God, they was visited with captivity. So here comes the Babylonians, bringing them into captivity. So where's the peace at? Bringing them into captivity. Matter of fact, let me run that back with the time period, just to put the time stamp on it. So you got Moses coming out of Egypt, 15th century BC. Boom. They say 40 years, but it's really 400 years later. 400 years later, they go up in the land of Canaan, 11th century BC. Boom. War breaks out. Boom. 7th century BC, the captivity come. Boom. They get hit with the captivity. 5th century BC, 200 years later, they get hit with the Judah get hit with the captivity for Babylon. Boom. Now they in captivity. For breaking what? The laws of their God. So now they in captivity. Now the Babylonians show them a little favor. Boom. 450 BC. Around 4th century BC, 5th century BC, they back in Jerusalem rebuilding the second temple under the Babylonian authority through Cyrus. See? 4th century BC, 450 BC, the Tanakh is written under Ezra. Boom. Now you got the Tanakh after the Babylonian captivity. Prior to that, it was just Torah. Now you got 450 BC coming on down. 1st century BC, Yeshua's time. Boom, Yeshua on the map. 1st century CE. And what's going on? More confusion. More war. Niggas crucifying niggas because the Pharisees and the Sadducees is trying to crucify anybody that do anything that breaks the law. So what they do to their Messiah, their own Messiah, they crucify him. Boom. Yahshua out the way now. What happens a couple years after? 70 AD, the Rome came, decimated them, they fled in Africa. When has Israel had peace in that story, in that narrative where God is showing them love and unity and this purity of holiness? Where does it show that? I just ran down the whole history from Moses to the 1st century or to the dispersal of Israel, and it was all bloodshed, captivity. You did. But that's the God you follow. That's the God you decided to follow. And that's the results that came with it. Yeah, it gets deep like that. Mercy, what's good? Shalom. Up in here beating up these false gods. See, when you challenge them with the Oahspe's doctrine, with the scriptures about the characteristics of God, let alone differentiating the Creator from God, but the characteristics of the gods, even with that alone, when you cross compare with the Oahspe, you're gonna look silly trying to defend a bloodthirsty God. Let me read a verse real quick to show you how the Israelites was influenced by other gods. Now in the book of Esdras, chapter 11, verse 6, it states, verse 6, the Israelites made a mortal king, and by their behavior said, rather man than Jehovah. Behold, we will love the Lord. Behold, we will have the Lord with us to fight our battles. So right there, by Israelites saying fight our battles, you already know that they under the inspiration of a false god. Now we're going to determine which false god that the Israelites are under. Verse 7. And Baal, B-A-A-L, god of the adulterer, heard and saw, gloried in the course, and he hastened to the scene with millions of his angel slaves to inspire the Israelites. See that? To inspire the Israelites to glory in the Lord and God whom he assumed to be. See that? So Baal, once he realized that the Israelites fell from the ways of the Creator, and they wanted a tribal god to fight their battles, guess who came in haste to the scene? That's right, Baal. And he gained inspiration over the Israelites. And then look what verse 8 say. And millions of the Israelites fell beneath his power and became his spiritual slaves. See that? And others still steadfast in the secret oral rites remain true to the secret name and person of Jehovah or Eoah. So here is showing you that millions of Israelites fell under the inspiration of Baal, the false god of Canaan, while another sect stayed steadfast to the ways of the Creator. So now we have a split. Those in service of the Creator and those in service to the false god Baal. Now Baal is El, Elohim. That's where the deity worship. El, Adonai, El. Because the name is Yahweh. Yahweh don't mean El. Yahweh don't mean Elohim. Yahweh don't mean Adonai. Yahweh means a self-existent one in Hebrew, right? That's not the definition of Elohim. That's a totally different definition. So here is showing you a split that the Israelites fell under the inspiration of Baal. Now check this out in verse 9. Now keep in mind, around this time, this is around 10th, 9th, 8th century BC. This is pre-captivity. This what I'm reading is pre-captivity. This is around 10th, 11th, 9th century, 8th century BC that we're talking about right here. So the dominant gods of this time period is Baal in Canaan, Osiris in Egypt, and Ashtaroth in Mesopotamia. Ashtaroth was the goddess who had influence over the Babylonians and the Assyrians. The Babylonians and the Assyrians was under the inspiration of the goddess Ashtaroth. Now check this. Verse 9. The which Ashtaroth saw, and first time of all, after 2,000 years friendship to Baal, she became jealous and filled with vengeance and wrath. So Ashtaroth and Baal was friends for 2,000 years. But after she seen that Baal gained influence over the Israelites and moved in somewhat on her domain, she got jealous and was filled with wrath. And what does she say? Verse 10. She said, I see now how this treacherous God hath planned to beat me in the regions west of Hellas and Europe. By the flesh of my thigh I am sworn, this thing shall not be. I will send 100 million warring angels down to Babylon. See that? And Tyre, and Yedman, and Luz, and inspire their mortal kings to make war on the westward cities and the strongholds of Baal. And as to impoverish Egypt, I will send hither mortal armies sufficient to destroy everything in the land thereof. See that? So who's the inspiring God that was behind the Babylonians? Ashtaroth. It says it right there. This was a battle of the gods that's being played out through mortals. So like I say, we always being used like pawns in the hands of these gods, these false gods. So I'm showing you that right here, 10th century, 9th century BC, Baal gained inspiration over the Israelites. Ashtaroth got jealous. She sent inspiration to Babylon. And what you think those Babylons did? 5th century, 7th century BC? Assyrian Babylonian captivity? Bam, they decimated Jerusalem. It was Ashtaroth. It was a female that brought you more. It was a female that brought you niggas into captivity, bro. A female goddess overpowered your God and brought you niggas into captivity. That's what the Oahspe is saying. Wow, that's crazy. And look at else, she's still talking shit. Look what she say, verse 11. Yeah, I will send my legions and also amongst the Israelites and inspire them. Now she talking about she gonna inspire the Israelites too. See that? So you got big confusion going on now. She's trying to get some inspiration over there through the Israelites. So verse 11 again. Yeah, I will send my legions also amongst the Israelites and inspire them that I, Ashtaroth, am the only true Lord and true God. I do not know. I will divide them up as a broken bundle of straw and cast them to the four winds of the earth. To the four winds of the earth. What's one of the prominent things the Israelites like to say? We will scatter them to the four corners of the earth. It was the goddess Ashtaroth who scattered you niggas into the four winds of the earth. See, Oahspe is giving you the deities who was behind the acts, instead of just saying God, Lord, God, Lord. She already said she's going to claim inspiration over the Israelites and claim to be the God, the Lord and the God. And then she said she's going to divide them up and scatter them in the four winds, four corners, like y'all say, right? And that's exactly what happened. Verse 12. On the other hand, Baal said, so now Baal, he knew after this event she was going to be like, I know she's going to be upset at this. Let me go ahead and start preparing my counterattack because I know she's going to come with some bullshit. This is what Baal basically saying now. On the other hand, Baal said, because of my success, I know Ashtaroth will be jealous and full of anger. Therefore, I will place a standing army between her heavens and mine. And if she but dare to molest me, I will send my millions angels. I will send my millions against her heavens and despoil her utterly, that she may be cast in hell. So Baal is already coming with a counterattack because he already know after that move on the Israelites, she gonna be upset and filled with anger because she gonna be feeling like, oh, he trying to move in on my heavenly kingdom. If he get Canaan, then he can move in Europe, right up in there, and start gaining more of my dominion. I can't have that. I gotta do something about that. So that's what's going on with Israel from 11th century, 10th century, 9th century BC, 7th century BC is when the captivity came. That's when the Assyrians came and decimated the northern kingdom. That was Ashtaroth inspiration. She decimated Baal there, brought him into captivity. 200 years later, 5th century BC, the Babylonians came to Judah, decimated them, brought them into captivity. That was under the inspiration of who? Ashtaroth as well. And who had domain of under the inspiration of Israel? Baal. So that was a battle. So the Israelites, the Babylonians, and the Assyrians, that was a battle between the god Baal and the goddess Ashtaroth in heaven. And on earth, it played out through the Israelites and through the Babylonians and the Assyrians. That's how deadly this Oahspe is when it shows you the layout and the influence of the history. The fight is for your soul. Yeah, because see, for the angels or the people already crossed over in spirit, if they you know, the false god's agenda is to collect souls. The way they collect souls is by having you believe in them while alive on earth. So while alive on earth, you believing in them. When you cross over in spirit, he's just going to send one of his angel emissaries to bring your spirit to his heavenly kingdom, and he's going to make you a servant, a slave in his heavenly kingdom. You may have to do some things like, you know, do some construction on the heavenly pavements. You know what I mean? You may have to be a servant, a butler. That's how they're going to treat you in the heavenly kingdom. So those are the soul collectors. You know what I mean? They're going to collect your soul and make you do those type of things. Now, even the true God collects souls too, but in righteousness. He's collecting souls to help you progress and further your education in the heavenly kingdoms. But then you got the false gods who collect souls to make you subservient slaves to them. That's how that works. So the fighting of your soul goes those your only two options. You're gonna be collected to the place for the Creator to continue your progression, or your soul gonna be collected to a false god and you're gonna be bound down worshiping him. That's right, Mercy. That's right. They playing chess, using us as chess pieces. That's exactly what's going on. When you play chess, you and your opponent, y'all are the gods, and the chess pieces are the mortals. So they just seeing who can strategically outwin. But the chess pieces have no clue that they're being played by the mortals. All they knew was they just being inspired to move. And when it's their time to move, they move. That's all they know. So it's the same with mortals. Mortals are inspired unknowingly. Oahspe says you could be inspired unknowingly. That's deep. So an angel could be using you, inspiring you, and you wouldn't even know it. Now that could be a good and a bad thing, because the angel could be inspiring you to do good, preventing you from harm. And it could be the opposite. Another angel could be inspiring you to do evil. Go out there and hurt somebody. Unknowingly to you. So you like, damn, why am I getting this feeling to go out here? Why I'm angry all of a sudden? I was cool a second ago, now I'm upset. What done got into me? You start talking like that. Hold on for a minute. Yeah, though. You gotta be careful, yo. The false gods call us their toys. That's exactly what we are. We puppets. We puppets to them. You know what I mean? We pawn. And the worst pawns are those who are the most loyal servants to their God. You got loyal servants to Jesus. You got loyal servants to Muhammad and Islam and Allah. You got loyal servants to Buddha. You got loyal servants to, Jehovah, whatever the case may be. And I say Jehovah Witnesses in a sense. I find that quite strange that Jehovah Witnesses ain't really tapped into the Oahspe, being that the Oahspe is in the name of Jehovah. I'm gonna have to call them out on that, because if y'all dealing with Jehovah's name and y'all get wind of this Oahspe and y'all really take notes, y'all be the coldest niggas out here. Can humans see angels collect souls? You have some, like in the Oahspe, they call it suas, the ability to hear and see angels. So a person who could behold that, those would be the ones who could testify of that. But the Oahspe do talk about seeing and hearing angels. That ability is possible with humans. What I think about the God Allah? Well, if you read the Quran, the God of the Quran makes claims to be the God of the Bible. So, if that's true, the God of the Bible is a deity, meaning that it's a man, it's a man figure claiming to be the creator, basically an angel. So if they follow that, then Allah would be a deity. But if they better off keeping Allah independent, separate from the biblical God, then they'll have a better chance and a better argument, because the Muslims don't claim Allah to be in the image. They stand on that. And by standing on that, that's right and exact. So if they say that Allah cannot be seen, if they say that Allah is incomprehensible, that's right and exact. I wouldn't disagree with that. But as soon as they say that Allah is the Lord and is going to do battle and war with man and shit like that, then that's when I know they off. They mixing the incomprehensible with comprehensible. But if they stick to Allah being incomprehensible, yeah. And see, that's due to Gabriel. See, Gabriel is Allah. You know what I mean? He's playing the messenger and the God. He's playing the messenger and the God. That was his deceptive tactics he used on on Muhammad, based off this disgruntledness with Luam. But you have to read the Oahspe to understand all that. Do you think it relates to the serpent being spoken of in the Bible? Nah, because the story of the serpent and Adam and Eve was a fabricated story by a false god by the name of Anu Hassaj. He created a 7-day creation tale and a narrative that he authorized to give to mortals at that time, 6,000 years ago, a creation story of how things were created. He created that narrative, so that the tale is actually false in fact. So the serpent, it's an allegory. Like Adam and Eve is an allegory. Now you did have a time when you had original man, like Homo erectus, Homo habilis. You know what I mean? Them pre-Adamic races, what they call it. But the way the Bible got the story written, that Adam was created from the dust of the ground, and then woman was taken, the rib was taken, and a woman was created. That was fabricated by this God. And the serpent came and tempted Eve. Then you got, the serpent seed was Cain's seed, the seed of the serpent seed, and you got the seed of Abel, the righteous seed. Yeah, I went through all those schools of studies when I was studying the fable, until I realized that was a false story created by a false God to enslave the minds of mortals at that particular time, because that was the creation story he was trying to feed mortals. But just like today, we question that shit like, nah, that's some bullshit. Like, that shit ain't making no sense. You know what I mean? The thinkers. The believers is just gonna accept what's in the book, but the thinkers is gonna question the book and say, yo, this ain't making sense. This ain't even adding up to creation in real time. If it ain't adding up to creation, then we gotta question the book. But if the book and creation is synchronizing, then the book has validity. So the Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, that whole thing, is the way it's narrative in the scriptures it was narrative in a false sense. But there was a creation of man, you know what I mean? There was it's like man coming, it's like a baby coming into the world. The baby comes into the world blank, knowing nothing. It has to be educated and taught and raised. It crawls before it walks. All that. So man came into the world in that same manner. But the angels was the teacher at that time. But that's about to go into whole something else right there. Lucifer is not a deity. Lucifer just means the Venus. Venus, the bright star. Because every 6 months, Venus will come out over the horizon, and it'll be the brightest star in the eastern during the morning, during the eve, or during the morning, depending on what time of the year. You'll catch it in the wintertime at eve, at the going down of the sun. You'll see the bright morning star. And sometimes in the summer, you'll catch it in the spring or the summer, and you'll see it coming over the horizon in the eastern or the western star, in the western or eastern sky. But Lucifer is not a deity. Lucifer is significant to the bright morning star. I deal with it's an astrological concept. It's metaphorical with astrology. Not to be caught up with an actual person named Lucifer, like he's walking the earth and he was a man walking around named Lucifer. That's not true. So when they talk about the light bearer, like even Jesus said, I'm the light bearer, I bear the light. You know, now the light bearer is the Illuminati. That's what the light bearer means, the illuminator ones. And the illumination is supposed to be, you're supposed to be illuminated with knowledge. You know what I mean? And what knowledge? The illumination of knowledge of, it could be anything. It doesn't be specific of what type of knowledge. You could be studying computers and be illuminated in the knowledge of computers. See that? But the deep side of it is that they're dealing with the illumination of spirituality. They're conjuring deities. They're dealing with spirit communication. They're tapping in. That's what's going on at the top levels. They tapping in. See the lower levels, the Jay-Z's and the rappers and them, those Illuminatis or whatever, if you want to place them in that department, for those who believe that, they working at the lower echelon. That's the entertainment level. The handshine, the symbols, the handshakes, that's the lower level. The next higher level is, you know, when they had them parties, them orgies that you hear about, these rappers exposing all that, that's another level. But then at the top, the echelon, where only a few sit at the table, that's where it really go down at. That's where the rituals and the summonings, the seances going on at. That's where it's really going on at. And they conjuring up spirits. And when they conjure up these spirits, they communicate and talk with the spirits. And sometimes these spirits will require things from them. And then once it's said what's required, the elite goes and play out whatever it is they got to play out. But that's what's going on at the higher echelons. It's a connection with spirituality. No doubt. What's up? 2016, that's what's up. You know, Oahspe makes more sense than a lot of books. That's why I'm trying to get cats to check it out, man. Look how thick the book is, yo. Just stick it in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? This is a damn encyclopedia. This one of Oahspe, I got another one right here. This is my old Oahspe. You can see, look how beat up this one is, yo. I ain't even got the cover to this joint no more. Mark this Oahspe all marked up. So I got both of them right here, you know what I mean? My new edition. And this is the blue dust jacket edition right here. You know what I mean? This the book, you know, you got certain Bibles where you got to mark up where you know everything at. This is this one right here. I got to mark this one up so I can go to certain verses where need be. But check this verse out, right? Check this out. This is in the book of East, daughter of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 17. The 4 false gods will fight thee to the death. Only till they go down in hell can Jehovah's kingdom come. Let me repeat that. The 4 false gods will fight thee to the death. Only till they go down in hell can Jehovah's kingdom come. Until the kingdoms of the false gods come and topple down is when Jehovah's kingdom will come. That's deep, because what's going on right now? The kingdoms of the earth are ruling. The kingdoms of the false gods are still stationary. Things are still being played out. So until that falls, then the kingdom will come. All right, check this. Verse 18. On all planetary worlds, it is ever the same. Keep in mind, it said on all planetary worlds. So this is not just going down on Earth. This is going down on other worlds too. Verse 18. On all planetary worlds, it is ever the same. Certain four false gods rise up to possess the corporeal worlds and her heavens. See that? So on every planetary world, this same thing happens. The same thing we experiencing now. Four false gods, meaning the four corners of the earth, right? They rise up and fight for dominion over the lower heavens and the earth. But it's said on all planetary worlds, things like this happens. So that's interesting because now we understand when these Etherian comes and they know how to deal with the situations in matter such of a couple of years, we see why. Because these same events transpire on other corporeal worlds. Verse 19. They will profess truth, but practice falsehood. Profess peace, but practice war. They will incite mortals and angels to all manner of evil, for sake of thwarting Jehovah's person and proceedings. Yeah, they will even yet assume that they themselves are Jehovah, the veritable creator, and they will inspire mortals to consider them as such. See that? The book is telling you how false gods assume to be the creator Jehovah. But your Bible don't talk about false gods assuming to be the creator for you to even get a thought of that in your mind. You just going by God, Lord, God said in the Bible, but here Jehovah is making you think like, look, you have false gods assuming to take upon my name in the image of man, being blasphemous before me, the creator. You see how that Oahspe is showing you the difference. Let's run back that again. Let's run back that verse again. It says, they will profess truth, but practice falsehood. Profess peace, but practice war. They will incite mortals and angels to all manner of evil, for sake of thwarting Jehovah's person and proceedings. Now here's the catcher. Here's the bulk. Here's the jewel right here. Yeah, they will even yet assume that they themselves are Jehovah, the veritable creator, and they will inspire mortals to consider them as such. That's the killer right there. How many of your people who read the Bible believe that the God of the Bible is the creator in the image of man? See that? They believe a deity is the creator. While right here, Oahspe is showing you that it's God that's going to inspire mortals to believe these things. And we bear witness to those who believe these things. This is why the revelation of Oahspe is potent. Because this shit playing out as we speak in real time. This is deep. Props and be great. We definitely in the Cosmon era. We early in the Cosmon era though. Very, very early in the Cosmon era. We're not even 200 years in. 2048 gonna be 200 years in the Cosmon era. And the first 200 years of every era is under the Etherian control. And then after the Etherian leaves in 2048, every 400 years will be under the atmospherian reign. That's the basis of the prophecy, or that's the basis on the timetables of prophecy, how arc cycles are ran through the gods and goddesses. I could probably show an example of that. Hold on. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull out an example of that. Source. I'll come back to that. I forget to figure out them things there. No, they're not the four horsemen. They four false gods, and it's more like let me give you who the four heads of the beast are. Right? These are the four heads of the beast. I'm about to read right here. 4 heads of the beast usually rise up within the arc cycle. This is what the 4 heads are, the 4 heads of the beast. All right, check it. This is Oahspe. That's the name of the chapter. Oahspe chapter 1, verse 11. And the beast divided itself into 4 great heads and possessed the earth, and man fell down and worshipped them. Verse 12. And the names of the heads of the beast were Bremen, Buddhist, Christian, and Muhammadism, or Islam. And they divided the earth and apportioned it between themselves, choosing soldiers and standing armies for the maintenance of their earthly aggrandizement. So the 4 heads of the beast is Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Brahmanism. And each of these religions have nations and military behind them. And these are your 4 religions on the 4 corners of the earth. Christianity in the west, Islam, Brahmanism, Buddhism all in the west, on the 4 corners, or the globe, right? And it says, verse 13, and the Brahmins had 7 million soldiers, the Buddhists 20 million, the Christian 7 million, and the Muhammadans, or Islam, 2 million, whose trade was killing men, and man, in service of the beast, gave 1/6 of his life and his labor to war and standing armies, and 1/3 of his life he gave to dissipation and drunkenness. This was the 6th era. So, the 4 heads of the beast are these religious systems that have military backing. So, for example, America has a military, but the belief system of America is Christianity. So the religion is Christianity, and the military stance, the beast, is the military. Same thing with Islam. Islam got a military. You go to Saudi Arabia, they got a military. That's Muslim based. Those are the beast systems in place. These systems must fall before Jehovah's kingdom can readily get established. But the transition is going to happen simultaneously. It's not going to be like, bam, they fall and here come rise the kingdom. It's going to be a gradual, simultaneously thing happening. Yep. Exactly. The religions are collapsing. Especially with a book like Oahspe exposing the religions. You know what I mean? We just building, let alone in a debate forum and expose their gods. I change the subject, right? Now in the Oahspe, it's periods that the earth travels through cosmic densities where the debris comes down to earth, like meteorites, atmospheric debris, cosmic debris falls down to the earth, comets and all that type of stuff, right? So it's a verse in the Oahspe where it actually talk about when a comet, or I should say not a comet, but meteorites hit the earth and the nature and condition of the earth at that time. This is an interesting read. It's not that long. It's a verse or two. In the Book of Divinity, chapter 13, verse 16, it states, and in 11 days thereafter, behold, Ajah began to fall on heaven and earth. The belt of meteorites gave up its stones, and showered of them rained down on the earth. So meteorites raining down on the earth. Let's see. Meteorites raining down on the earth. And the sun became as a red ball of fire, and remained so for 166 years. So look at that. The impact of a meteorite created an atmosphere so dense that the sun shone like a red ball of fire for 166 years. Imagine that. You got kids growing up, being born and dying, seeing the sun like that, never knowing that the sun was a bright yellow star. But all they know it as a red ball of fire due to the atmospheric debris from that meteorite. That's some deep shit. But that was the main part right there, just dealing with the event of a meteorite coming down on the earth and hitting like that. That's some deep shit. So yeah, so when you hear about fire and brimstones in the Bible, that's atmospheric cosmic debris, meteorites falling from the heavens to the earth. We have not experienced anything on that scale. We may see 1 or 2 meteorites flying in from the atmosphere coming in as a ball of fire, but just imagine it's raining down like a storm on that level. Fire hitting the earth like that. Amalgamated, just run like rain. Like how we got floodwaters of rain. Just imagine brimstone and meteorites falling, hot molten lava on that level where it's creating river pools of fire from the sky. And the smoke and vapor, the toxicity, the carbon monoxide that's going to evaporate into the atmosphere from such an event. The Oahspe shows you that the earth went through these conditions, and that's the mortals had to live through at that time. You better pray and hope that we don't go through nothing like that. How will the kingdom rise? It's a section in the book called Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. Basically, you're going to establish colonies in the country. It ain't nothing spooky about it. It's basic living. Like I said, the way you rise is the service done on the others. So you're creating colonies in the countryside, colonies of purity. Because Jehovah said, I'm changing man from being a carnivorous man of contention to an herbivorous man of peace. So building up on the colonies of the countrysides is what's going to transpire. You're going to have more people doing that while the cities is just going to continue to go down. You see how the cities is going crazy right now with the crime. There's murders every day out in the cities right now. But just imagine you live in 80, however many miles in the countryside, and you ain't got a neighbor for a mile here and a mile there. That's where you got to establish the base at. That's the establishment of Jehovah's Kingdom, by establishing colonies. The same way when Israel left Egypt and they established colonies in the wilderness, but due to their unrighteousness, but as far as the establishment of colonies, it's like that. It ain't no Jerusalem coming down from heaven. It ain't no, you know what I mean? Now, it may be angelic in a reaction when you start establishing these colonies, because you're going to be out in the country field. No police officers. You're just you in the woods. So vegetation is to be more easier there because there's no interference with the worldly people. Exactly. Lightning, thunder, and brimstone on them, Lord, clot. Exactly, like the Bob Marley joint, yeah. Won't be water but fire next time, yeah. That's real. That's real. Because the earth and the solar system, everything is in motion. Everything is in an orbit. And it's just like a road trip. If you're taking a road trip from one state to, say you're going from California to New York, a road trip, you're going to encounter different weather conditions. You may start off and it may be sunny leaving California. By the time you get to wherever, 2 states over, it start raining. See? The density then got dense and now it's raining. And then it may stop raining. Then, using that as an example of that, the solar system and the Earth is traveling in an orbit. And through their orbit, they're going to encounter atmospheric debris, atmospheric densities that is more dense than the Earth. And the material is driven in, a meteorite, it's belts, it's vortexes of Mother Earth. And these vortexes can be drawn in. The material in those vortexes can be drawn in and driven to the Earth. And that's what happens sometimes when we go through these travels in the cosmos. It's deep. Will someone come teach us that we've been lied to for so long? Well, you got to learn. Like, the responsibility is on you because you got to know. And once you know, can't nobody deceive you. That's why we say, like, getting knowledge is power. And knowledge is, there's no limitation. So you just keep searching. You got to keep reading. Keep using discernment. You know what I mean? It's like, reading is fundamental. A lot of people don't like to read. They like to question and give their opinion, but they don't like to read. So instead of reading the Oahspe, we pressure to read it. People still be scratching their head wondering when all the answers is right there. I mean, all the answers is right there. It got more answers than questions in the Oahspe. It got more answers than questions in the Oahspe. When you're dealing with life after death, who was God, the creator, and all that type of stuff. So it's like, if you want to know, this is a good way to know. Basic instructions before leaving Earth, right? Yeah, we got to do more than just live. Yeah, the service done in the others is the reason to live. That's how you're going to raise your spiritual grade. That's how you're going to be placed on the lower level, the mid-range, or the higher level based off your service done in the others while you're alive. So every day is an opportunity to do something righteous to raise your spiritual grade. Because when you cross over, it's just you. Ain't nobody there for you to talk to rationalize with, no friends. When you die and it's your time, it's just you and your guardian angel, whom you never spoke to, whom you ain't even know existed. That's your caretaker, because when you cross over, you ain't going to have a clue of what's going on. You're going to need a caretaker. Just like when a baby comes into the world, a baby don't comes into the world just taking care of itself. A baby comes into the world dependent on the caretakers who's been in the realm for a while. Your parents, the caretakers of that baby. So in spirit, the guardian angels are the parents of your spirit. So when you cross over, they're the ones that's going to, you dead, nigga. You crossed over in spirit. Calm down. I just want to let you know that first. Because you're going to be like, if I'm dead, how am I still alive? That's going to be the question you're going to answer as a non-believer who don't understand spiritual progression or spiritual birth, which is what your physical death is. So when you die and wake up, you still think you're going to be in the physical body because you're going to have a spiritual body, which you're going to think is your spiritual body. You're going to have a spiritual body, what you're going to think is your physical body. Your guardian, or the angel who receives the spirits of the dead, is the one that's going to have to explain to you, like, you crossed over, bro. You in spirit. You're not on earth. You in spirit. It's going to take a minute for you to digest that. But if you become conscious of these things now, when you cross over, and he tell you that, you on go. You on game. All right, I'm on game. Let's go. Where we at with it? Where we going? Let me go look around. Let me see what's going on. What realm we are? Oh, Uncle such and such on this realm? Let me go see him, see what he's talking about. See, you're already prepared to deal with the realm. Compared to somebody who's totally ignorant of the realm, or they think they're going to be laying in the grave waiting for Gabriel to blow the trumpet. Like most of the Christians, most of the Hebrews, that's what they think. They're going to die and wait on Gabriel to blow the trumpet. Selah Shalom. Let me get some of that tea. I'm going to hit the website, yo. Let me see if I can hit you with the website real quick. Bong, I just put the link in the chat for the bittersweet herbal tea. You know what I mean? Raise your vibrational frequencies with the bittersweet herbals. That's what it's designed to do. Raise your vibrational frequency. Detox, get all the gunk out the digestive system. Get the gunk out your digestive system. Then get the toxicity out the blood. Clean the blood. Take a couple months to do that. And after you clean the blood, you're going to start feeding your organs proper oxygen. You'll notice your body behaving different when you start to detox. Exactly. You know what I mean? We learn every day. There is no ending to learning. That's why anybody who think they just got a book and the Bible is the only answer and that's it, nah. Even the Oahspe is not the only answer. It's a continual progression. It's just where we at with it right now. That's what's going on with it. Yeshua. Yeshua. You know what I mean? I know Yeshua like, damn, boy, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting the people to worship me. You know what I mean? Like, there's been a lot of amalgamation. There's been a lot of confusion with them scrolls, man. They did a hell of a job with them scrolls. Like the Bible you have today, the work that they had to go through to make it the way it is today, yeah. From Genesis, from a serpent in the garden, to a flood, to Abraham, to the Israelites, then to the Exodus, and then from the Exodus to the Israelites living in the kingdom, and from the kingdom to the captivity, down to the Malachi. The Bible really stops at Malachi, 4th century BC, 400 BC. That's when your Bible stops. That's when the Old Testament, as you know, it stops. With Malachi. 400 years before Yeshua is the time of Malachi. So you got a 400-year gap period from the time of Malachi to the New Testament. Because the New Testament is the document of Jesus' life. That don't take place to the 1st century CE, Common Era, right? So the gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament from the book of Malachi to the book of Matthew was 400 years. It's a 400-year gap right there. A 400-year undocumented history. Yep. The Bible is a chop shop. Yeah, yo. You know, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? Like, there's some jewels in the scriptures. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you read Proverbs, there's some good Proverbs, there's some good Psalms. But see, when you get a deeper understanding, when you get to the level where I'm at, it's deceptive because the Psalms and the Proverbs could be good, but when you start saying the Lord and God, those Proverbs could be for a false God. So now those Proverbs are not even rendered to the Creator, but to a false deity. That's where the deeper layers of it get involved. So it sounds good, the Proverbs and the this, the that, wisdom. But then when you start referring to the God, and when you start having verses where, the God is my shield in my battle, and he'll go out and battle and kill for me. When they start talking like that, it's like, oh shit, damn, it was good. I thought it was from the Creator. Now he talking like this. He can't be from the Creator when he talking about killing motherfuckers. So that's the dangerous part of the Bible, because this is supposed to be a holy and righteous God, but he got blood on his hand. Now, Christianity was inspired by Luam. Here's a quick verse real quick. You know what I mean? Just going through. This is in the book of Safa. It's just a verse. It says, Luam, the false god, now changed his name and falsely called himself Christ, which is the Ahamic word for knowledge. And he raised up tribes of mortal warriors, and he called themselves Christians, who are warriors to this day. See that? See that plain as day. Tells you the deity. He was a false god, styled himself Christ, raised up followers under the auspice of Christianity. And it says the doctrine of these warriors, which were Christians, was that knowledge, which implied general education, was the best preventive against crime and misery. Neither understood any man in those days that the word Christ had any reference to a man or person. See that? So the term Christ didn't even refer to a term or person at this time. And the earliest reference to Christ in the Greek is Kai and Rho. And it had no reference to a person, but it was the symbol of the X and the P, which was the symbol that Constantine made in the battle at Milvian Bridge when he won against Maximus. So Christ didn't even refer to a person. See, that's how deep this thing goes. You got to know history and the time periods. Pre-Christ and Christ, as you know it, taking on the form of a man. So like it says, neither understood any man in those days that the word Christ had any reference to a man or a person. See that? Now from that time to Moses, there were an interval of 400 years, which the Jews had no written record. See that? The age of the Ezra Bible is not therefore from the time of Moses, but from the time of Ezra. So the Tanakh is basically what they're saying is not from the time of Moses. So all the stories you have of Moses is not from the time of Moses, but from the time of Ezra, 4th century BC. And that's the same time that the Dead Sea Scrolls came on the scene. They say the Dead Sea Scrolls is from 400 BC to, second century AC or something like that, Common Era. Surely the truth will make a wise man mad. Yeah, I can just skip around in here and pull out anything. The Crusaders were warriors for Christ. Must need that. Yeah, the Crusaders, no doubt. The Christian Crusaders. The Templar Knights and all them. Yeah. That's exactly what was going on with them. They came with the sword They came with the sword drawn in their day. So just like I said, the Christians got blood on their hands. The Muslims got blood on their hands. All the major religions got blood on their hands. All inspired from their God. Yes. Let me see what else we got here. A bunch of Masons. Yeah. I'm going to touch on something real quick. Being that this thing is spiritual. So check it out, right? Y'all heard of plagues, right? Check this out. Book of Leak, Son of Jehovah, chapter 14, verse 7, it states, and these groups at times descended to the earth, fastening upon mortals, even casting large cities and nations in death, because they carried the foulness of their hells with them. They impregnated the air with poison, so that mortals were swept off by the millions, and these were called plagues. See that? Plagues were because they carried the foulness of their hells with them, and they impregnated the air with poison. You got spirits that are foul, that can impregnate the air with poison based off the odor emitting off the spirit. And it could be poisonous to us. And they label this a plague. See how the Oahspes open your eyes up to the spiritual side of this thing? So now we have this thing called COVID. It's an atmospheric condition. It's an airborne condition. They don't know where it came from. They saying this, they come up with all these ideas, but here Oahspe showing you that it's spirits that have odors that can impregnate the air with poison. So it's showing you higher level of spirituality, in the levels of impurity. Now, right, check this out, verse 9. Such angels as engraft themselves on mortals, becoming as a twined spirit to the one corporeal body, shall be known as reincarnated spirits. See that? Oahspe is giving you the definition of what a reincarnation is. It's not no ascended angel. These are low vibrating angels engrafting themselves on the living. Like it states, verse 9. Such angels as engraft themselves on mortals, become as twined spirits to the one corporeal body, shall be known as reincarnated spirits. But were such spirits usurp up the corporeal body, as of an infant growing up in the corporeal body, so we talk about a nigga who clamped on from birth, right? Growing up in the body, and beholding and holding the native spirit in ambiance, and such spirits shall be known as demons, which is the origin of the name. So, spirits that engraft themselves on mortals, possess the mortals, holding their native spirit at bay, are called demons. A perfect example of this is the movie, what's that movie? Oh, damn. What's that movie with the chick got possessed? What's that movie with the chick got possessed? I can't think of that movie, yo. That old school movie where the old girl got possessed and the head was spinning around in the bed. Hey, babe, what's the name of that movie again? The Exorcist. That's exactly what they're talking about, The Exorcist. If you've seen the movie The Exorcist, this verse is talking about that same exact condition. Let me read it again. It states, but were such spirits usurp up the corporeal body as of an infant growing up in the corporeal body, and holding the native spirit in ambiance, such spirits shall be known as demons. So a demon is an engrafted spirit that has the ability to hold your native spirit at bay while speaking through your corporeal body in total control, like in the movie Exorcist, when the spirit inhabited the girl body and was in total control of the girl's body. So these things are real. The Oahspe is revealing these things. That's why you got to be careful when you're talking about you're going to be conjuring up or doing rituals to the ancestors. You got to be careful, because a motherfucker will engraft his ass on your ass and control your body. Now that you know this, you know not to conjure up nothing. You just deal with the Creator. The Creator is your safety net. When you got shit like this going on, you don't want to be conjuring up and calling on nothing but the Creator. You know what it feels like for a spirit to take and possess your body and control your native spirit at bay while he speaking through you? See that? This is what exorcism is about, because the Catholic priests, you got recorded tapes. You can look it up now. Actual recordings of exorcists taking place. And you can hear the voice in the person gets real deep and guttural, speaking like that in that low vibration demonic tone. It's videos documenting this stuff. So this ain't no play or make believe. Oahspe is showing you that These are spirits doing these things. And to keep in mind, these are one-time human beings. So now, verse 10. Spirits who inhabit mortals in order to live on the substance mortals eat and drink, and often absorbing the strength and life of mortals, shall be known as Uzains or vampires. See that? Oahspe gives you an example of a vampire. Now, we know vampire as Dracula. Dracula biting your neck and suck the blood. But that's a metaphor for an actual spirit that uses the sustenance that you live on. It gives the definition. Let's read it one more time. Spirits who inhabit mortals in order to live on the substance mortals eat and drink, and often absorbing the strength and life of mortals. You may find yourself being tired out the blue, like, why I'm so tired? Not knowing you got a vampire spirit draining your life energy. So again, let me run that from the top. Spirits who inhabit mortals in order to live on the substance mortals eat and drink, and often absorbing the strength and life of mortals, shall be known as Usains or vampires. Nevertheless, these shall not include fetals. So it's showing you the spirits that are not in the ways of resurrection, that are in the ways of declination or declining. These are they. These are the spirits that's not raising in the grades. These are angels below the grades. Like we talk about the grading system from 1 to 99, but you have angels that are below the grades. Those are below the grades, engrafted, possess themselves on mortals, going backwards in the grade. Now to show you where it says in the grades, right? To prove that the grades got to do with reincarnation, right? Let me read that. Let me find that in this. Switch up Oahspe's real quick. Boom. Book of Judgment, right? That's the Book of Judgment. Check it. I highlight that joint. We're talking about angels that are below the grades. Let me see. I thought I highlighted that joint. Where that? Let me see. Right. How to remove them? You got to call on the Creator. That's why I keep saying the Creator is your safety net. The Creator, purity of diet, because vampires, a lot of these entities feed off darkness. They live in the darkness. They don't like the light. So as you increase your vibrational frequency by eating pure foods, they will eventually wean away themselves off you because they can't bear the light. They'll flee onto another person who has a dark spirit. Not saying you got a dark spirit, but the vibrational frequency could be dark based off your eating habits, based off, you know what I mean, your vibrational frequency slowing down. You can be a good person with a low vibrational frequency. So increasing your vibrational frequency is increasing your light. When your vibrational frequency is low, your light becomes dim. You know what I mean? And the dimmer your light is, the more the spirits of darkness can engross themselves on you. The stronger your light is, the more they're going to flee off you. So you pray to the Creator for light, but you got to do the labor. You got to do the work. You got to do the groundwork. You got to purify your body. Cut back on the pork, cut back on the chop, the steak, the ham hocks, and all that. Fast for a couple days, purifying the body. You'll notice the difference when you do it. Yep. Check it, I found it right here, right? So we're talking about angels that are below the grades. So like grade 1 is a selfish person who don't help nobody but himself. But those below the grades of spirit are engrafters. They engraft and suck the sustenance off of mortals. So here it states, in the book of Judgment, right? Chapter 4. It says in the book of Judgment, chapter 4, it says, verse 11, but of such as are below grade 1. See that? So you have angels in the negative. So you got grade 1, but then you got negative grades, right? So it says, but of such as are below grade 1, there are more than 6,000 million. 6 billion, being mostly such angels as knowing nothing more than babies. Though for the most part they were full-grown adults as to earth life. Some are fetals, some engrafters, professional reincarnators, who dwell with one mortal during his lifetime, and then engraft themselves on another during his mortal lifetime, and so on, calling themselves reincarnated, and in fact, knowing no other heaven, being disbelievers in the all person. So here it's showing you that angels in the lower grade, that are below the grade, are reincarnators. Angels that engraft themselves on mortals. Professional reincarnators. These are the angels below the grade, and these angels are demons. They're called fetals. They're called engrafters, reincarnators, evil spirits. All these are angels below the grade that have not learned to resurrect from grade 1. Instead of moving from grade 1 to grade 2, they moving from -1, -2, -3. Yup, the earth has a God in charge. The earth has a God in charge. There's always a succession. It's a female goddess in charge of the Etherian cycle. It's the Etherian goddess that's in charge. But the atmospherian god wasn't revealed. But the Etherian god that's going to be running the arc cycle for the next 3,000 years is a woman. It's a goddess. Yup. But in your Bible it says that woman can't talk. Y'all are to be silent in the church. But in the Oahspe, they got a whole female running the whole next 3,000 years. So who you rocking with? Who you rocking with? You gonna have a closed mouth? Or you rocking with the goddess of 3,000 years? Holla at me. Yep, you got the reincarnated. You got these. So somebody may come and say, "Yeah, I lived in my past life. In my past life, I was this person." They're not that person. That's that person speaking through them, saying who they was because they engraft themselves on you, speaking through you, using your body as a host. See that? They ain't supposed to be doing that. They supposed to be ascending off the goddamn planet into the higher realms, in the heavenly kingdoms in the first, second, and third atmosphere. But here they are, earth fucking with you, trying to reincarnate through your body. I'll be like, nigga, get your ass away from me. You know what I mean? Go reincarnate on somebody else. I ain't here for reincarnation. I'm here for ascension. And that's how we moving. We ascending. We not descending. Reincarnation is a form of descension. There's no ascension in reincarnation. Reincarnation is like school, starting from the first grade, then to the 12th grade, and then you're starting back from the first grade again. You're just going in circles. You're not ascending. Ascension is onward and outward forever. Not going backwards, never. Unless for a special occasion. It's like when you graduate high school, or when you graduate high school, or when you graduate elementary, you may come back for the first couple of days, but once you get the hell on, you ain't coming back. How often you go back and visit your high school right now? See that? You don't, because you're constantly ascending and getting away and further educating. But just imagine going to high school 30 years after you left high school, graduated high school, and you seeing the same school mates in high school just recycling in the grave, just going backwards. See that? That's why the Oahspe is so beautiful, because the Creator's ways is ascension, ascending, forever expanding, forever exploring, discovering new things, discovering new worlds. We ain't bound to nothing. We free over here. You dig? It's a vibes. What's the name of the current goddess? Well, the way it works is that you got the Etherian goddess. What they do is they come set things in order for the next 3,000 years. Then after they set things in order, they stay for a period of 5 to 8 years. Then they out of here. They back into the Ethereum realms. And the rules and regulations are left in the hands of the God of heaven and earth. And then he rules for 400 years. Then it's a succession that goes on. Somebody else takes the throne. They rule for another 400 years. And another succession takes, just like we have the president. You got one president ruling, then another president is ruling. But it's a female god. It's in the book of I think it's in the book of Esther, if I'm not mistaken, where it describes the female goddess who brings in the cosmon era. She says, I know no distinctions, I know no race. All past revelations is of the past. She put all that shit aside, like, nigga, this is what it is right here. Well, that revelations of the 700 dragon, that shit is out the window. That's not even realistic. But this what's going on here. You know what I mean? I can get the verse too, if need be. King Dice, what it do? I see you. You sure you saw it gray? Okay, I hear you. See, it's not too far-fetched with the whole reptilian thing. The reptilian humanoids or whatever. This is why I say that on the anatomy level. See, you got, in creation, you got the vegetable kingdom, and then you have the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom, man is placed within the animal kingdom. So it's not like man is separate from animal. We're just the highest form of animal in the kingdom. And the animal kingdom is expressed in two forms. You got mammal and you got reptile. We are mammal beings. But then you got reptile beings. Those are the two families of the animal kingdom. So the same way you have humans that are mammals, who's to say they don't have humans that are reptile? And we looking at each other like, how can that be? How can you be? The reptile looking at us like, how can, this nigga's a mammal. Mammals live in water and shit. How this nigga's a mammal but a human? They looking at us like we bugged out. We looking at them like they bugged out. And we are product of the same creator of creation. We don't even have a clue of what other humanoids or terrestrial beings look like out there. Look at the early history of man before man really started migrating to other continents and seeing other customs and cultures. Look at a Congo African compared to an East Indian. If they first never seen each other, they're going to be looking alienated at each other. Like, damn, nigga, I ain't know people look like you over here. He gonna be looking like, yo, I ain't know people like you over there. And those are mammal beings, let alone you seen a whole nother reptile species. No doubt, King. That's no doubt. Yeah, you can reach out to the gods. The answers are there. You just gotta take the time out to study them. Ain't nothing gonna happen overnight. You just ain't gonna get the twinkle of an eye and get the answer. Don't nothing work like that. If you want to become a doctor, the answers is out there. You got to study vigorously to get the answer. That's why I keep showing you this big ass Oahspe. All the answers is right here. It's up to you to study vigorously to get the answer. It's just like school. You know what I mean? You got to pass the grade, nobody else. So it's up to you to get the answers. The answers is out there. You just got to get them. You got to take the time out and be patient, due diligence, research, study. All that is required when you're learning and gaining knowledge. Nothing happens overnight. It takes a whole year to graduate school. And then sometimes you may fail. You had a whole year to get it right and still fail school. You know what I mean? So nothing happens overnight. It takes time to gradually get information. You know what I mean? The answers is out there. Yeah, I know about Credo Matua. Yeah, he did a ritual where he had to eat a hand, yo. That was crazy. It's crazy, yo. Now, the Oahspe don't necessarily talk about reptilians, but they talk about the serpent, like it was an earlier species, like the actual, not a serpent, like a talking serpent in the Garden of Eden, but an actual creature, you know what I mean, a species. You know what I mean? That was one of the earliest creatures or mammals or reptiles created. Yep, Oahspe talk about that, but they don't talk about reptilians like how we talk about it today. Oahspe basically say like most of the humans are like humanoids, mainly mammals and shit. They don't really talk about the crossbreeds of reptilians or nothing. Not genetic engineering. That's a whole nother thing. You could genetically modify a human. Crossbreed the species and all that. Like, that's what the whole Anunnaki thing was about. It was crossbreeding the seed of man. You know what I'm saying? So anything is possible. I don't doubt nothing. I ain't that naive to sit there and say that's not possible. We ain't even been on the planet 100 years, but we trying to dictate what's possible or not, and we ain't even tapped in yet. You dig? Dr. Delbert Blair, that was my man right there. I fuck with Dr. Blair. He used to talk about the Oahspe, but see, some of these cats be slick though, because they'll try to spit the knowledge out without giving reference to the source. Because there's a couple things I heard Dr. Blair say, and I'm like, yo, that's straight the Oahspe. He said Sentantes. I'm like, yo, that's the Oahspe. Why not mention that you got it from the Oahspe and actually break what the book really saying? Because he'll be scattering, going like here, there, there. It don't be no central, concrete. You know what I mean? When he draws conclusions, it's kind of scatterbout. No doubt. You know what I mean? It's a vibe. Give me a minute. Let me light my spliff. Let's vibe for a second, y'all. Let's vibe for a second. Let me let some music play for a hot second. I'm going to come back. Let's vibe. It's the vibes. It's the vibes. Let's vibe out for a second, y'all. I'm still here. I ain't going nowhere. We just vibing. You know what I mean? Get you a drink, light your spliff. Join me. Yes, you know what that is. That good done, just smoke. It's the vibes. It's the vibes. Yes, family. We in the building, it's a vibes. Vibe with me, yo. Selah Shalom, according to the text as it is written. That's what we dealing with. vibing. It's the vibes, yo. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just a little break. That's gonna be the vibes, you know what I mean? That's how we moving, yo. It's the vibes from here on out. You dig? Get you a little spliff, get your drink. Yeah, medicinal herbal teas, them. Yeah, man. Doctor said, but stress the herbs, you know what I mean? The herbs is important, yo. Look what the Oahspe say about the herb. We are in the 7th era. The 7th era according to the Oahspe, right? Look what it say. Oahspe, verse 16. Behold, the 7th era is at hand. Thy Creator commandeth. This is a commandment from the Creator. Not your false gods, from the Creator. Behold, the 7th era is at hand. Thy Creator commandeth thy change from a carnivorous man of contention to an herbivorous man of peace. The Creator is commanding you to become herbivorous in your diet. Why do you think the Creator is telling you to become herbivorous in your diet? So you could raise your vibrational frequency. Raise your vibrational frequency. Let's go to atmospheric plateaus from high and low, dealing with the Oahspe. Like it says here. Like it says here, right? Check this. So the Creator wants you to become herbivorous, right? These are some of the reasons, right? It's ascensions and descensions, the way the heavens are set up, the earth being the lowest realm. So check it. This is in the book of Jehovah, chapter 4. Verse 6. Things that man seeth created I with the beginning and end, but the unseen I made of endless duration. So he's making a comparison of the seen, the physical, and the spiritual. Verse 7, the corporeal man, which is the physical man, the flesh body man, I belongeth to the seen. So the physical man belongs to the physical world. The seen, what is the seen? 700 to 300 nanometers. That's visible sight. That's the seen, right? So again, the corporeal man made I belonging to the seen. The corporeal man made I belonging to the seen, things that are seen. But the spiritual man made I as one with the unseen and everlasting. So again, he's making a cross comparison from your physical body and your spiritual body, showing you a duality, that the physical things are seen and the spiritual things are unseen, unseen to the physical eye. Verse 8, as the corporeal man beholdeth corporeal things, physical things, so does the spiritual man follow upward the evaporated entity, corporeal entity of things. As corporeal things are tangible to corporeans or humans, so are spiritual things tangible to the spirits of the dead. So again, it's cross-referencing the spiritual and the physical, right? Showing you the duality of the two. Here's the catcher, verse 9. As I cause water to rise upward as vapor and take a place in the air above, let it be a sign and testimony of other places in atmosphere where dwell the spirits of the lower heavens. This is the key significance of why Jehovah wants you to become herbivorous, because it's going to have to deal with your place of ascension. Carnivorous diets is going to keep you more engrossed, impure, and closer to the earth. Herbivorous diets is going to it's more of a pure diet, and purity rise above, and we're going to touch on that part. So he used an example as water, as I cause water to rise upward as vapor, and it takes its place in the air above. So like vapor takes its place in the air above in different stratas. He's using that as a reference that your soul will be risen up in different stratas after death. But your diet has a partial to do with that. Verse 10, as I made a limit to the ascent of the clouds, so made I a limit to the places of the different kinds of substance in atmosphere, the more subtile and potent to the extreme, and the more dense and impotent near the earth. So impurity and denseness is closer to the earth, potentness is closer, higher in the atmosphere, showing you the difference in ascension and descension of the atmosphere. And your purity has to do with the level of ascension or descension that you'll be in. Now here's the catcher. Verse 11. According to the conditions of these different plateaus and atmospheria, whether they be near the earth or high above, so shall the spirit of man take his place in the first heaven, according to his diet. See that? According to his diet, desires, and behavior, so shall he dwell in spirit on the plateau which he hath adapted himself during his earth life. So you're responsible for yourself here. So the verse says, according to your diet. So your diet has a lot to do with your ascension and descension. The more pure realms of ascension is high above. The more impure realms engrossed is more on the earth or nearer the earth. So that's the reason why the Creator wants you to become herbivorous, so your spirit can rise high in the atmosphere as your spiritual progression continues. What does the Oahspe say about locks? It really don't say much other than coarse hair. Like it talks about how the Ions had copper color skin and coarse hair, you know. So exactly, we're not taking these animal bodies to heaven. So the more you eat animal food, the more you eat flesh food, you're slowing down your life force, your vibrational frequency. You're dulling your light. Like a light that shines bright. And after a while, it starts to become dim. And then it blows out. You don't want to blow your light out. You want to keep increasing that light and raising your vibrational frequencies through herbivorous diet. Steak, pork, beef, all them heavy meats, that shit go low. Although it tastes good, don't get me wrong. I know I grew up eating meat too at one point in my life, so I understand. It's not something you can stop overnight, but I'm just giving you the real deal, so at least you'll know when you do make the changes, you know what you're making the changes for. And you ain't gonna go backwards. Yeah, yo, this shit deep. See, the Oahspe is teaching you about how the Creator's creation works. It's teaching you about the struggles that the angels go through in managing worlds. It talks about worlds being created, worlds being inhabited, worlds being barren, and worlds being dissipated. You have schools of prophecy. You have angels that's in the first and second resurrection that are being educated on mastery of spirit. The lessons of the second resurrection is mastering the physical realm. So an angel that comes from the second heaven, he will be able to move objects with his mind and things of that nature. He's moving on a whole lot different vibrational frequency. High life, it survives. You don't know. Yeah, it gets deep, man. It gets deep, yo. It's not too far. Ain't nothing too far fetched, yo. The extraterrestrials, the Greys, the Reptilians, ain't none of that too far fetched, man. I done interviewed motherfuckers who said people done killed one of them joints, so ain't nothing too far fetched over here. We could talk about it. We about to have them ghost stories too. I'm gonna have my phone hooked up to where I'm gonna have it where y'all can call in and tell me about y'all ghost stories. I just gotta figure out a night I wanna do it on. I was thinking about probably doing it on a Sunday evening or something like that. Because I know Friday nights, cats going to be all, oh, it's the Sabbath and all that. You know what I mean? Friday night, or I could do it on a Saturday night, but sometimes I'll be busy on Saturday. I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm film production. I'm about to start my next season. Season 8 of Atlanta's Ugly. If you haven't watched it, go check out Atlanta's Ugly on YouTube. I'm the director, actor, you know what I mean, producer of the whole film. So, that's what I do. Well, if you want to start learning, the first thing you want to do is your diet. Your diet is the gatekeeper right there. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not too much about learning. It's about the discipline of spirit. That may not come through reading books. That may come through actual practice of your behavior and your service to the others in righteousness. The answers may come in that manner. It may not always come through a book. The book is a guide. Everybody gonna get it different. But it don't hurt to read. You know what I mean? We're here to gain knowledge on all levels. Like the Book of Judgment. That's a book, man. If you get the Oahspe, the Book of Judgment, that's a cold-blooded book. You know, in the Bible, it talk about a day of judgment. In the Oahspe, you got the Book of Judgment. So, what you think the Book of Judgment talking about? You know what I mean? It gets deep, yo. That's where the grades and the rates of the systems are at. You know what I mean? Got a couple lessons I'm working on. This stuff right here gets deep, yo. So when you come over here, you getting real lessons from the Creator, true God, exposing these false gods. You gonna stay on the neck of these false gods. You dig? Yeah, ghost stories talking about abnormal activities, abnormal experience that people may have. You know what I mean? Like I say, go talk to your oldest relative in your family, the oldest relative living in your family, and ask them, Grandma, great-great-grandpa, you ever seen a spirit? And watch the stories unfold, yo. Nigga be like, damn, nigga, what kind of question you asking me? But let me tell you what happened. I done heard some wild stories. Some wild stories, man. I done heard them all. They calling and telling me, I'll be bugging too. Like, what? That happened? That's why I said you got to be careful. All these females who want to be dealing with ancestral and conjuring up the deities, you know, be like witches, and you create up your altars and stuff like that. You know, I know Gabriel be doing his thing. I'll be checking them out. But you got to be careful doing them things. You know what I mean? That ain't something you can just tap into like that. Because there's deities in the realm that are experts in what you're trying to tap into. And they have advantages over you being a newcomer into this level of technique and knowledge or rituals, conjuring, seance, all that. You got to be careful with that shit. That shit ain't no joke. You see how the Oahspe just read that a demon is a spirit or a person in spirit, an angel or a spirit of the dead that engraft themselves on a living from birth, lives up in the body, take possession of the body. You see what I'm saying? Speaking through the body like if it's you, holding your spirit at native bay, all that going inside of your body, yo. Come on, man. And all that comes from tapping in. You got to be careful when you tapping in. If you tapping in calling on any other name than the Creator, you in danger. And there's no specific name for the Creator. You could call on whatever name that suits you, but if it comes with the image, then you in danger. If that image, if the name you call upon is an incomprehensible idea, you in the safety net. You want to stay in the safety net of the Creator. The safety net of the Creator is going to discard you from all these evil entities out here. These evil entities is billions on the planet. It's 8 billion people on the planet. It's well over 16 billion. It's well over double in that in spirit on the surface of the planet, roaming. So it's crowded. Just imagine being on the subway crowded. Just imagine you sitting there where you at, and it's crowded of spirits and drudges trying to get at you. And here you want to tap in and conjure up or worship the ancestors, and you got all these evil spirits, lost, wandering spirits, trying to find a host to attach itself to. Y'all better be careful. The Creator is your safety net. You don't need to call on no ancestors, because the ancestors, when they cross over in spirit, they got to learn the realm themselves. They can't teach you nothing until they learn this shit. And then when they learn it, they're going to realize, like, yo, you ain't supposed to be even calling on me. You know what I mean? I'm just like how was I when I was on earth. I wasn't your God. I was just your parent. So now you calling on me as your God, making things worse. So when you get in the realm now, I got to explain to you that you don't do that. You're going the wrong way by calling me your ancestor, your God, and all that type of stuff. So it's nothing but confusion when you're dealing with deity worship, ancestral worship, calling on saviors, messengers, prophets. All that stuff will confuse you. The only person you need to call on is the Creator, and the Creator will guide you, period. That's right. That's true indeed. You're right. Most ancestors are in training and not hanging around. That's absolutely true. You have angels. You have angels that are in training. They in the systems. They in the schools and the colleges. They being educated on better how to serve people when they down, how to deal with their spirit when they cross over. Because a lot of people, I'm sure, when they cross over, you know, they can be a little bewildered, especially if there's an untimely death. So you have angels that are being trained. They're called guardian angels. Sometimes they start off as apprentice. They go around with skilled guardian angels, and they're like a substitute and see how the system works. And once they become sufficient in that system, they can go out on independent missions as guardian angels over mortals and protect them spiritually. But then you have the ancestors who are not in training, who are the wandering spirits, and they have influence over mortals the same way that the righteous one does. So that's the battle between the two, the righteous and the unrighteous ancestors. You had a witch riding your back, called on the name of Jesus, and he was out of here. Yeah. Exactly. Names hold power, yo. Yep. Luam got angel emissaries that will come and aid in the name of Jesus. Because he's responsible for that deity, so he better respond to his followers and show them that he real. Because if he don't show them that he real, then they ain't going to have no followers. So he got to show miracles and testimonies in Christianity for Luam situation to be real. If they're asking for, that's right. If they're asking for food, liquor, or blood, yeah. But see, you know what I mean? These ancestors, the same habits you have on earth, the same habits you have when you cross over in spirit. I'm smoking. So if I cross over, I may still have a habit of smoking before I'm fully weaned from that habit. You see what I'm saying? Don't nothing happen overnight. So word up. What time we got? 2 hours and 30 minutes? I've been on with y'all for a minute. So this is what we gonna do, man. This has been a nice vibe. We gonna ride it out. We just gonna vibe out. I'm gonna light my spliff. We gonna listen to some music for a minute. And I'm gonna catch y'all on the next go round. And we gonna get this thing popping, you know what I mean? Because it's definitely a vibes. You dig? It's a vibes. It's the vibes. Yeah, let's vibe out, y'all. Worlds are globaler. It's the vibes.